Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. We're live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and on Rumble. And once again, the Cowboys Report will have after hours exclusively on Rumble, so make sure you tune in for that, as maybe I will murder producer Jeremy on air. We'll find out. People are talking. All right, our question of the day. It's also our pinned poll right now. Grade the Cowboys offseason. We'll throw in so far. I do wonder just how many more, if any, moves this organization is planning. A, B, C, D, or F. Right now, the leading vote getter is B, but not by very much. 39% are voting in favor of B. 35% say C. A is 14%. 12% is D/F. So grade the Cowboys offseason so far. C from Warren Brooks. D's from Tim Tyler and John Talley. B from Sack77. Somehow we're talking about Dak being overpaid, which wasn't even this offseason, so okay. D from King Trill. Is that your burner account in there, Jeremy? Having too much fun. C from Tony Brittingham. Another D from King Drill. B's from Jesse Truitt and Grace. B from Gary Sane. A from Eric Shepard. B from Saul. B saved by undrafted free agency. That's the least important of the whole grouping, though. C- from Ryan Hupp. D from Cashman Jones. B from Patrick Lancaster. C from Mr. Fire. D from Gavin Hall. It's now 40% in favor of the B's at this point, which is interesting. We'll check in on this throughout today's show. We're going to have our off-season tracker as part of this, all the moves recapped, all three of the outside free agency signings discussed as well, because the Cowboys fell asleep at the wheel once again. We'll also spend some time on Trevon Diggs. I've seen a lot of like, oh my God, Diggs is going to be so expensive, to which I say, well, duh, where have you been? If Diggs plays well again this year, he's going to be super expensive. So would you make Trevon Diggs the highest paid corner in the NFL? Y for yes, N for no. Untouchable Raider, he says no. Chris Snow says yes. Untouchable Raider spamming his N in there. Grant says no. Matt M says no. Yeses from Armando and Grace. And no from Don, Barry, and Michael. What's up, Chugs?
I'm not saying it.
Okay, so you are saying it.
I'm not the one saying it.
All right, Don't Shoot the Messenger, produced by Jack Lotteray.
But people are talking the Eagles have the best cornerback duo in the league now.
They don't.
People are talking.
First off, you are asking me this because we talked about it today, and we both agreed no, they don't.
No, I'm just saying.
But it is good.
People are saying James Bradbury, Darius Slay.
People say a lot of things. Doesn't mean they're right, Jeremy.
Yeah, people say Dak's overpaid.
Don't you start with me. I walked right into that one there. Yes is from Chris, and Toad French is still in there. Bryson, Big Phil, Craig. Gilbert says no. Someone said he's drunk. Is that referring to you? You might be drunk. I don't know. You ain't chugging Jimmy.
Also, yes or no? Will Stephen Jones be happy if Trevon Diggs doesn't play well this year?
I mean, it is Catboy after all.
I think he's like, if he underperforms this year, I think he comes out happy.
Robo says yes. Chris Snow says yes. Says you're crunk. That's funny. Lindell Baker says yes. Michael says no. We'll come back to that one more in depth later on in today's show. We'll also spend some time talking about Dalton Schultz and more of the under-the-radar deadline approaching, less than 2 months away, the July 15th franchise tag extension deadline. Either you pay a player long-term or they have to play on the franchise tag. So it's a long-term deal for Schultz or $10.9 million. Will Dallas get a deal done with Schultz by that deadline? D for deal, ND for no deal.
Thank
What's
you,
up, Jeremy?
Howie.
Why thank you, Howie?
Howie Mandel, deal or no deal?
Oh, okay. I thought you were about Howie Roseman since you're the Eagles fan. I'm like, what Howie Roseman to do with this? Now it makes more sense there. Yeses from Bust. No deals coming in here, majority. Toad French, Ryan Hupp, Bryson King, Joseph Weed. Can we say that? I guess we did. Damon says no deal. Deals, though. Bunch of deals coming in from Warren Brooks, Bust714, Gary, Big Phil, Eric Shepard, Tony Brittingham, Chris Snow. Pretty even voting on that one there. What's
Tom,
up, Jeremy?
TV show idea really quick.
Okay. I'm sure this won't be a terrible idea.
Deal or no deal. you in place of Howie Mandel.
Okay.
Cowboys free agent is the one playing the game. And then Stephen Jones is the banker.
Stephen Jones constantly just undersells you over and over again. That's funny. Nonsense says D. The Zebras says no deal. Michael, Joe, and Bryce all typing in their NDs in the comment section. One of my favorite games here, and when Jack Crawford retired, I tweeted out the Cowboys legend. Might have been the most likes ever. It was like 600 likes on that one for Jack Crawford retiring on a Cowboys legend tweet. That one might have been the most ever. Which was funny because it's like, it's perfect. It's Jack Crawford. Who the hell's Jack Crawford? Exactly. He once played for the Cowboys, making him a legend. And there were a lot of people who were like, he's not a legend. You guys don't get the rules then. The rules are, if you once played for the Cowboys, you are a Cowboys legend. If you were good and played for the Cowboys, you're actually not because you were a good football player. Malik Turner, Cowboys legend. Greg Zuerlein, Cowboys legend. Dat Win, almost too good to count, but I'll include him in there, Ben Loving. So get the Cowboys legends in the comment section. We'll get to this one here for the super chat from Malachi Trimble, then we'll come back to the Cowboys legends chat. He says, I am most excited about the culture change. Dez played during the wrong era. He'd have some like minds today, all dogs now. I think that Dez was I don't want to say the attitude guy because that has like a negative connotation, but the energy guy, that's the word I'll use, energy guy on the sidelines. He was fun. He was not a diva, by the way. Don't let the OBJ truthers fool you.
Word was from Michael Irvin. He heavily insinuated that Amari Cooper was not a dog.
Cooper's not an alpha guy. That's not who he is.
He said he didn't have the want and desire.
And he said in the Michael Irvin mindset, want and desire to stab your teammate in the neck. What? Let's see. Tony Casillas, that's a good one there, Michael. Ryan Switzer, perfect. Terrence Newman, too good. Jason Witten, way too good. Morse Claiborne, perfect. Connor Williams is now a Cowboys legend. You get it there, Tom. David Bueller, perfect. Bryce Butler, that's a fantastic one in there. Barry Church, also good ones. This is basically name a random Cowboys player is how this one tends to work out. This has been a discussion in the office past couple days here at Chat Sports. Who will win a title first, or next technically? But it's the Cowboys or the Mavs. C for the Cowboys, M for the Mavericks. I actually went with the Mavs myself because A, they have a great chance to win it this year. They're one of the final four teams left. And I think Luka's the best player in the NBA. Sorry, Giannis, but yeah. I'm going Luka. And I'm going to bet on that guy. It's like having Mahomes.
See, and just like you said, the Mavs, they have, not even arguably, they have a top 5 player in the NBA in Luka Doncic. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys don't even have a top 10 quarterback.
Okay, now that's bait, and that's good effort there, Jeremy. You can shut your dirty mouth. No, I think that Luka is the best player in the NBA. Love to have that player on the Cowboys. You guys know I love Dak, but Dak ain't Luka. Luka's a star. I mean, this is of course the Cowboys report. If we ask this to our Mavericks channel, it's going to be a lot more M's. Yeah, there you go. A lot of C's from last night. He's actually spamming it. Good job, bud. King Trill, Brian Gutierrez says M. Elijah says C. Someone said Luka's not good. I think you have to watch Luka play basketball. I know that's not the most popular answer. Like, people will probably pick Giannis over him, but Luka carries that team. I don't think the Mavs supporting cast is all that good. I think it's Luka just being Luka there. Someone says Dak is top in the NFC East as well. Yes, he is, but that's different than the entire NFL. I don't think Dak's the best quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he's top 2 or 3. I think Luka is at minimum. BT's just trolling now. So keep the votes coming, C or M. And if you haven't already, do us a favor and like today's video if you want us to get today's show started. We know the off season is kind of at a winding down point here, but that's okay. We still got daily videos for you guys on the Cowboys. And when you like our videos, lives, on demands, all of it, it tells YouTube, hey, these guys are doing fun stuff. You should continue to do it on that standpoint there. I know, Jeremy. You can keep talking dirty to me in my ear. It's fine. Like the video if you want us to get today's show started with all the latest news and rumors out there. I'm at 68 likes. Jeremy's very excited. You might get a different screenshot than me. I got the 69 screenshot, Jeremy. Today's going to be a good show. I went from 69 to 76. Kind of crazy on that one there. So keep the likes coming. It tells YouTube that you are liking what we're doing, and that helps us get more views and continue to grow the channel here at the Dallas Cowboys Report. All right, here's what's coming up on today's show. The latest news and rumors. That's involving Dalton Schultz, etc. A Cowboys mailbag, 2 of them, actually. As always, there are 2 ways to get on the show. You can use #Cowboys or Super Chat. We missed King Shadow's Super Chat last week, so we're going to lead off the first mailbag with that one. Put your Super Chats in. We'll get to them on the show, I promise you. If you put your #Cowboys questions in right now, that will make it easier for producer Jeremy to find them, bring them up on the show. We'll also do Offseason Tracker and grades as our segment, and on the Cowboys Report after hours exclusively on Rumble, breakout players on offense, all coming up on today's live Dallas Cowboys Report. Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am your host, Tom Downey, here to break down everything going on around America's team. We're going to begin with some rumors, namely, just how expensive is Trevon Diggs' upcoming potential deal going to be? Will it be expensive? 3.5 stars, maybe it's even 3.69. We'll round it down to just 3 there. But assuming Diggs plays like he did this past year, again in 2022, he's going to be expensive. I've already seen some hand-wringing of, oh man, Denzel Ward and Jair Alexander, man, they really reset the cornerback market, which we should all know that. The Cowboys should have known that as well, that those deals were coming for Ward and Alexander to become, at least not, if not the highest, one of the highest paid corners in the NFL. The cornerback market continues to rise. That is how almost every position, except for running back, tends to work out when it comes to the market rate. It continues to go north. Now, there's nothing the Cowboys can do right now. Diggs is not eligible for an extension until after his 3rd year, this upcoming year in the NFL. There is no contract the Cowboys can present to him. But if he plays like he did last year, he's going to get a massive amount of money. Yes, he allowed 907 yards. He also picked off 11 passes, broke up 21, had 4 touchdowns allowed. Every single NFL team, even the anti-Trevon Diggs haters out there, be like, yeah, I'd love to put that guy on my roster. He was a playmaker. Yes, he allowed more yards than you want, in part because the tackling of Diggs and Devontae Casey were not the best overall. But Diggs is a baller and a playmaker. He is going to get paid like that, whether it's the Cowboys this offseason or if they do the whole Stephen Jones, I'm not going to pay big money type of deal. Assuming Diggs plays, even if he takes, let's say, a slight step down and allows like 600 yards or picks off 6 more passes or whatever as teams throw his way less, he's going to be asking for $20+ million a year. Because why wouldn't he be? That is the going rate for top-end corners. And with the way the market typically works, if you're top 10 or top 5 at your position, you normally end up getting highest paid cornerback money or position money. That is simply how it works in the NFL. So with that in mind, our pinned question of the day for you. Would you make Trevon Diggs the highest paid corner in the NFL, or would you refuse to do so? Let me know your answers in the comment section. Why for yes you would, and for no you would not. Now, it's not just Diggs who's going to be eligible for a new massive extension this time next year. A.J. Terrell, Jalen Johnson, and Christian Fulton, all 3 in the same draft class of Diggs. Terrell was the first-round pick. Johnson and Fulton were second-rounders. All 4 guys, including Diggs, have been awesome corners so far in their young NFL careers. They might not all get a similar level of hype, but all 4 teams are like, yeah, we got an awesome football player in the end. And remember this, especially what those guys also do for new deals. The longer you wait, the more expensive it becomes. I hope the Cowboys learned their lesson with Dak Prescott. I somehow doubt that, because had they paid Dak initially, he would not even be a top 10 highest paid QB in the NFL right now. Now he's barely top 5. The market only goes up. And if Diggs balls out again next year, just get it done. We'll have seen growth, great play in 3 young years. Pay him. And as soon as you pay Diggs, in a month or 2 months or 3 months, if you prioritize it and get it done early, he's not even going to be a top 3 highest paid corner for that long. That is why the proactiveness typically ends up paying off more than being slow and waiting. Now, speaking of proactiveness, we haven't mentioned the Cowboys-Giants battle on Rumble lately. That's my fault, and we're getting our butts kicked. It's an embarrassment. Marshall Green, our Giants fan here, who's, by the way, the Giants' best quarterback is freaking Kadarius Toney right now. It's a disaster in New York. Yeah, they hated Jesus because he spoke facts too, Marshall. You can give me the bird all you want. The Cowboys Report is getting our butts kicked by Giants now. We are almost 500 followers behind. We got to get that changed. For free, uncensored videos, including Cowboys Report After Hours, go follow us on Rumble, rumble.com/CowboysTV. Let's talk Dalton Schultz and his potential extension with the Cowboys. Unlike other players, there is a timeline and a deadline for this deal to get done. I'm only going to give it 2 stars that it gets done, unlike maybe what Jeremy Fowler will get to more in depth here. Background is this. The Cowboys' clock is ticking as it relates to pay Dalton Schultz. The franchise tag deadline is July 15th. If no new deal is done by that time, Schultz has to play on the $10.9 million franchise tag. There is no fudging that number on the salary cap. He counts at that figure, a very high figure for a tight end, even a good one like Schultz. Here's what Fowler reported earlier Wednesday. Quote, a long-term deal is certainly on the table over the next 2 months. The Cowboys will at least try to make one work. Quarterback Dak Prescott, Coach Mike McCarthy, and coordinator Kellen Moore are all very high on Schultz. And in a bit of an under-the-radar season to an extent, Schultz was really good last year. 808 yards, 8 touchdowns. Does he have issues blocking in space? Yes. Relative to other tight ends, does he suck at blocking? No, he does not. It's just some of the losses ends up looking pretty bad in the end. The Cowboys have nothing proven behind Schultz. They did spend a 4th-round pick on Jake Ferguson, the same pick round, I should say, they spent on Schultz all those years ago, but there's no guarantee that Ferguson ends up being a long-term piece. He could be, but we're sitting in May. It's a little too early to declare that based on the draft capital from that standpoint. So will Dallas get a deal done with Schultz? Type in D for deal or type in ND for no deal. They're not going to get it done. This is the Cowboys we're talking about after all. Sound off with your predictions in the comments section. Frankly, I don't trust Dallas to get this deal done. That has not been their historical MO. They tend to really drag their feet on this level of contract extension. And make no mistake, Dalton Schultz at minimum is going to command $10.9 million per year. He will be asking for a lot more than that because the longer you wait to pay a player, the more expensive it ends up becoming. He's not going to command George Kelsey money. That's ridiculous right now. But Mark Andrews money, Dallas Goedert money, or at minimum Hunter Henry / Jonnu Smith money? Yeah, that's going to be the case. He's going to get at least $12.5 million per year. He's not going to settle for a lowball offer. A young tight end who, isn't a great blocker in space, isn't the most dynamic after the catch player, but is typically reliable and put up over 800 yards last year. There are a lot of tight ends on that top 10 list that haven't put up 800 yards. Even Zach Ertz offers you nothing after the catch. He got paid even though he's much older. So what is the most you would be comfortable paying Dalton Schultz per year? Sound off for me in the comments section the most you'd be down to pay him. We are getting closer and closer to 129,000 subscribers here. A big thank you to everyone who has already subbed to us at the Cowboys Report. Inside of 400 away. So if you haven't already, subscribe for more free daily Dallas Cowboys videos. Talking free agency again, so you know what the star number should be. How about Larry Ogunjobi to the Cowboys? Yeah, that's 1 star because they haven't done jack in free agency this year. They've signed 3 players in total. ESPN/Football Outsiders wrote the Cowboys' number 1 need right now is on the defensive line, which I get where they're coming from. And they suggested Larry Ogunjobi as a free agency fit. Now, Larry O signed a 3-year, $40.5 million deal with the Bears this offseason, and a failed physical unfortunately voided the deal, which doesn't happen very often, but it did cancel out the contract, and he still remains a free agent with not that much noise and news around him. And Larry O was coming off a pretty damn good season. I mean, when was last time a Cowboys interior defensive lineman had 7 sacks in a season? Been a pretty long time, especially if you don't count David Irving as a DT. You call him more of a defensive end, but he played over the middle. He had 7 sacks that awesome 2017 campaign in half a year. Larry O came off his best year ever back in 2021. 12 tackles for loss, a ton of quarterback hits, 7 sacks. There's a reason why the Bears, led by former Cowboys legend coach Matt Eberflus, wanted to pay him so much money. He's always been good disruptor in the backfield, 5 TFLs, down year in 2020, after almost identical 2018-2019 campaigns, 50-plus tackles, 10 TFL, 5.5 sacks. Larry O brings you more proven pass rush and production, frankly, than any defensive lineman on this roster. Am I excited about the remaining upside about Neville Gallimore and Osa and even John Ridgway and maybe Quinton Bohanna? Sure. But Larry O is more proven. The medical is a massive red flag and might turn the Cowboys off altogether, since they only draft players who are injured, not sign them so much. Unless you're a safety torn Achilles, in which case, hey, they signed 2 of those guys last year. I would have interest, but I think the medical is a pretty big red flag on that front. So when it comes to free agency, Stephen Jones said not more than a month ago, free agency's not done. We're going to make some moves. And they have done nothing except cut 2 random guys since then. Name a player who you would love to see the Cowboys sign in free agency, even knowing that they haven't done anything on that front this year. Talk about practice. Not a game, but practice right now, as the Cowboys, per Jory Epstein, are going to have 2 sets of joint practices this preseason. Against the Broncos, August 11th, on that Thursday before their preseason game. That's a Saturday preseason game, by the way. And then 2 of them against the Chargers before their matchup on that Saturday as well, to double check my dates there. Wednesday and Thursday. This is just more of a good chance for competition. Maybe they get the occasional fight. I wanted to mention it. It's not that big of a deal in the end that they're having joint practices. Hopefully no one gets injured and there's no cheap shots or whatever, but I do like it to mix it up and having your players go up against other teams' players in a slightly more competitive option. Let's go back to this question on Diggs. It's always interesting, right? Would you make Diggs the highest paid cornerback in the NFL? Y for yes, N for no. If he plays like he did this year, I'm totally down with it. And if you're like trying to, give him low money, it's not going to work out very well for you in the end. I see, a lot of no's in there. Maybe I should have done most you'd pay Diggs per year to get a better insight on that one. Swan says no. Braniel Allah says no. Roy Williams, the safety, I believe, says no. Sean says no. Max says no. Warren says no. Mighty Macho says no. It's mostly no's, Jeremy. That is surprising. That's surprising me. I don't know what you're planning over there, Jeremy, but I don't like it when you try to plan things. It makes me nervous. I don't like when you do that. Brian Gutierrez says no. Morris Simpkins says no. Craig and Chris say yes. The one JT, depends on how he plays this year. If he plays like he says no, not surprised. No one ever wants to actually pay market value. That's just how it works. Ken says hell yes, and Boondock Saint says yes as well. After today's live show wraps up on YouTube and on Facebook, we will be live only on Rumble. We've got some breakout player candidates for the Cowboys on offense. So follow us on Rumble, rumble.com/CowboysTV. The link to that live stream going on there right now. I already see Bobby Hass in the live chat. Thank you once again, Bobby, on Rumble. We'll put the link to the live chat in the comment section for you guys here. Breakout candidates only available on Rumble. We're going to end the live stream on Facebook and on YouTube, and we'll take care of you guys on that front. It's rumble.com/CowboysTV, so make sure you guys are following us over there. We were going to have a mailbag first and foremost there. So if you have questions, get them in right now using hashtag Cowboys, or skip the line altogether with a super chat. It's hashtag Cowboys, or you can super chat to get on the show. If you have questions and you use the hashtag, it does put them in the queue for producer Jeremy to find them and bring them up on air. So get them flowing for me in the comments section using that hashtag Cowboys, or if you want to super chat, that would be much appreciated as well. Welcome into the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey. If you have questions, well, this is the perfect time to do them in the comments because it's a mailbag answering any and all questions you guys have here as part of our live Dallas Cowboys Report show. Remember, once your questions answered, you kind of need to be subscribed. Our first question from King Shadow actually came in on last week's live show, but it came in afterwards, so I told him we put it on today's one. You know, another linebacker on this roster for me to feel safe. LVE has production questions, and Jabril Cox coming off a torn ACL, so I want another linebacker to feel safe. Or like Barr to feel safe, which I'm fine with. If Anthony Barr is cheap, I would be down to go out and try to acquire him to add him to the roster. I think he would be cheap. I think for Barr's standpoint here, and it always does take two to tango, of course, does he want to go to a destination where he may or may not be the starting linebacker? He might get beat out by LVE, given that Barr himself has had some injury problems in the past. So when it comes to Anthony Barr, I'll ask you guys a question right now. Would you sign Anthony Barr, assuming it is a relatively affordable contract? Get those answers in for me in the comments section right now. Type in Y for yes, you would go sign Anthony Barr, or type in N for no, you don't want him on your team. And a big thank you again to King Shadow for that super chat. From Roy Williams, the safety. Now that AB is gone, would it be a little bit more easier to beat Tampa? Plus, we have home field advantage. Look, the game was awesome and close last year. I think the Bucs could say, yeah, well, now you don't have Amari Cooper and Cedric Wilson anymore, when you probably won't have Michael Gallup. So I think the Bucs are more beatable. I think the Cowboys are more beatable as well. Brandon Romero, how much money would you throw at Sean Payton for next year? Here's the good news, folks. There is no salary cap to get in the way of paying a coach. So if you really want Sean Payton, money literally is no object for Jerry and Stephen Jones. You can give them a blank check and say, go write a number, cash it, and we'll be fine. Joneses are certainly not cash poor. They'll be able to make a big offer if they want Sean and if Sean wants to come back to the NFL. From Roger Moore, will the Cowboys pursue Jay Schroeder, or do you think they're happy with what they got? Kind of think the latter. The Cowboys, the past 2 years, haven't really brought in any competition for Tyler Biadasz. They let Connor Williams get last-second run at center, which was a disaster because, of course, it was. That was a terrible idea that didn't work out because it gave him no prep time. The last second, like, try it, and of course it didn't work well. 7th-round pick and Matt Farniok and a couple undrafted free agents this year, they haven't shown interest in adding a center. I would love to add J.C. Treader. Maybe they're worried about the medical. Maybe they don't like the NFLPA president stuff. But so far, pretty quiet on that front. From Davey Stanley, sign Drew Brees to start or be a backup. Okay. Couple things. Drew Brees is not coming back. Like I don't foresee Brees unretiring from the NFL and going, yeah, I'm going to come play, and coming off of my own shoulder surgery I had earlier this month, he's not going to be back before week 1. Like, it's just not going to happen. Frankly, wanting to play Drew Brees as a starter, not to be too much of an a-hole, Davey, that's nonsense. So reset the meter, Jeremy. It has been 0 days since our last nonsense here on the Dallas Cowboys Report. We had to reset the meter for that one. It's not going to happen. It's dumb. Brees expressed interest in his tweet, which I viewed as more of a joke than anything. And by the way, I know his numbers look fine down the stretch. Yeah, Drew Brees was not playing at that level. Dak's a better quarterback than he is right now. All time, of course, it's Brees. Right, the second, it's clearly Prescott. And Brees is not going to unretire to be a backup. That's not a good decision for him whatsoever. Now, if you want the Cowboys to make their team better, which so far, I'm not sure the Cowboys have done this offseason. Show it by liking this video right now. If you want the Cowboys to make the team better and be more aggressive in the offseason, let's show the Jones boys by liking it right now. From Bryce Purser, or is it? Yeah, it's Purser. What do you think about D-Law coaching up Sam Williams? I mean, I think it's smart. I think it was also Haley was working with Sam Williams too, by the way. Look, DeMarcus Lawrence is a very polished player in terms of his technique. He's a great mentor for players. I only see positive things coming from that standpoint. From Grace, let's trade for Travis Kelce. I mean, they gave up Hill. Why not Kelce? Do you want Travis? Like, in all seriousness, Travis Kelce is a better football player, unquestionably, than Dalton Schultz. No disrespect meant to Schultz there. Travis Kelce also turns 33 this year, which I know sounds weird, but that's pretty old for a tight end. He's going to be the same age as Gronk, which you would never expect with the timing of when they came in the NFL. I think the cost of Kelce versus what you'll have left to get him, since the Chiefs are contenders, is not going to be a path either team should go pursue. You know, in a redraft league, give me Kelce over Schultz, but like that's not how this works. So I don't think either side would have interest there on that standpoint. From Ben Loving, I think a deal pending with Schultz might be keeping us from signing a free agent. No, it's not. Schultz right now is counting more on the salary cap than what it would if you extended him. And the Cowboys have plenty of cap space. There's nothing right now keeping this team from spending money on free agency except the simple truth. They don't want to. It's a desire, not an ability issue right now for the Cowboys when it comes to free agency options. It's nothing to do with Schultz or the cap space. They've got plenty of both. They're just kind of like, we don't want anyone. Now, we are also on Rumble, and if you want free, uncensored videos, go follow us over there. Unlike YouTube, you can play the Rumble Cowboys Report videos in background, kind of podcast style, so you can just listen to it, which I know other people like to do, as opposed to having it pulled up on the YouTube side. Go follow us, rumble.com/CowboysTV. From Cowboys legend Tyler Klutz-Burner, Tom versus McClay versus Steven versus Jerry in a fatal four-way winner-take-all. Here's what happens. Me and Will McClay tag team and make sure Steven and Jerry are out of it. Then he and I fight to the death. Who wins? Definitely Will McClay. He is in way better shape than I am, but it's an upgrade no matter who comes out on top. Another super chat here from Carlos. Why do the Cowboys just absolutely refuse to make a big splash signing or trade of some kind? I really don't believe they want to win a Super Bowl. The Cowboys' mindset, whether it is right or wrong, which I think it's the latter there, is this. They don't want to overcommit themselves in any one year. They want to keep that window open as wide as possible and see what happens and see if they get lucky, as opposed to being a little bit more aggressive because they don't want to restructure a ton of contracts. The Saints and the Rams have been a lot more aggressive and, oh, by the way, have kept their windows open for years, just like the Cowboys have done when their quarterbacks have been healthy, because you can just keep kicking the can down the road because the money's always cheap. Eventually that bill does come due, but a $1,000 bill when you're making $10,000 as opposed to $30,000 later on feels a lot different. So Carlos, it is their mentality. I don't agree with it, but they want to be conservative as opposed to aggressive. From Stephen Bones, is this like the inverse of John Fossil and Jerry Jones or Stephen Jones? Should Dallas sign Clowney? I kind of don't think they're going to have any interest there, and frankly, I'm okay with that. Clowney would be expensive, probably around $10 million-ish, which you could do if you're the Cowboys, as we mentioned earlier. I don't really consider defensive line that massive of a need right now between DeMarcus Lawrence, Dorrance Armstrong, and Sam Williams, since he's flipped it back to going by Sam after initially asking to go by D. Now he wants to go by Sam again, so we'll respect it, of course. You got Dante Fowler, Terrell Basham, Chauncey Golston. I think you're okay at the defensive end position. I honestly wouldn't be that worried about what the team has at the current spot at defensive end. I would look maybe trench play for the interior of that defensive line, or for the offensive line at some more help there at center, potentially. Maybe even a receiver before I would go get another defensive end. So I want you to play Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones, and you can be aggressive if you want to. Name a player who you want the Dallas Cowboys to go out and sign. Got to be a free agent, so it's got to be somewhat realistic from that standpoint, but drop a name for me in the comments right now. A super chat now from Austin Carey. Thank you, Austin. I think the Cowboys' defense will be a lot worse than last year. I don't think our offense got any better to make up for major defensive issues. There is this reality of life in the NFL that defense compared to offense is a lot less consistent from year to year. Oftentimes it's tied to, do you play better quarterbacks and better offenses? The Cowboys will face better offenses this year. Do I think they'll be another top 5 defense? Maybe. Are they going to collapse to 2020 versions? I don't think so. I think they will force fewer turnovers. I'm also hopeful they get off the field better on third downs to help balance that out at least a little bit. So I don't think a lot worse, but I think some regression is certainly possible. From Big Phil, if the Cowboys move on from Zeke, who will be a target at running back in the draft, assuming Catboy won't sign anyone? Anyone you want. I think looking ahead in the way too early version, next year's running back class looks really appealing. The big names, Bijan Robinson, Jamari Gibbs, Texas, Alabama, respectively. Zach Charbonnet is a good football player. There's a lot of good backs next year. My hope is this, that the Cowboys learn their lesson when it comes to paying running backs and drafting backs high. Namely, don't do it at a high level. Don't spend a first-round pick on a back. Spend a third-round pick every year on a running back or a fourth-round pick every year on a back, and you'll find some good football players, just like you did with Tony Pollard. If you want to be a part of these mailbags, actually kind of simple, subscribe and tune in to our weekly live shows on Thursdays. If you're watching somewhere other than YouTube, the link is right there at the bottom of the screen. It's youtube.com/CowboysTV. It's a great question from Todd Jordan. Who will have more yards this season? Michael Gallup or Jalen Tolbert? I mean, you guys can vote MG or JT in the comments. Had Gallup been healthy, it would have been easily Gallup. Tolbert, much like Gallup did in his first year, might require some adjustment time. But because I think it's going to be a 6-game, waiting period, somewhere in that range. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's more, whatever it ends up being there. I'm going to go with Tolbert in the end. From Elijah Garcia, Julio Jones rumor. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I know that the speculation has been, what about Julio to the Cowboys? Probably not going to be. He was shopping that one time and was wearing Cowboys gear and then got dealt to the Titans in the end. I don't anticipate Julio coming to Dallas. I wouldn't mind another receiver, but I'm not going to get my hopes up there. From Mikel, Anthony Barr and maybe a Will Fuller pickup. We'll help complete the roster. I'd be so down. Will Fuller brings something this Cowboys team doesn't really have right now, and that is deep-end top speed. They've got some fast guys, but no burner in the same way that Will Fuller would bring. Anthony Barr, I mentioned him earlier, totally down for that. He would be a nice addition as at least a depth piece at linebacker. From Chris Snow, when is Jerry stepping down and retiring? We need new leadership. This is the ultimate, be careful what you wish for. Because when Jerry fully steps down, guess who it is? It's Stephen Jones. And I am unconvinced that's going to be a better outcome in the end. I am worried about Stephen Jones, who already runs a lot of the Cowboys organization as the true decider in the end, which is the title still given to Jerry. So who wins a title first? C for the Cowboys or M for the Mavs? The Mavericks are still alive in the NBA playoffs, and they've got, I think, one of, if not the outright best players in the NBA in Luka Doncic. So I think I might go the Mavs. I want to hear from you. C for the Cowboys, M for the Mavericks. From Provokin, who do you think are going to be our sack and touchdown leaders? Touchdowns will probably end up being Zeke, since he's the goal line back still. Sack leader? Take your pick between Micah Parsons, Tank Lawrence. Either one of those are fantastic ideas. From Bloodshots 54, do you think the mayor will create a second Dallas team? NFL team? No. Frankly, I think it's pretty dumb of the Dallas mayor to run on a platform that is anti-Cowboys. I don't want to get too far into politics, but I think that's a bad political move. We're going to do it? Reset the meter. A second team in Dallas is stupid. It has been 0 days since our last nonsense. You're going to put a second team in South Dallas? Okay, sure. You think the Joneses would ever sign off on that? Hell no. You think that the NFL's like, yes, a second team in South Dallas. That's exactly what we're aiming for. No, they're not. It's a very weird political move by the mayor. I don't really understand the rationale behind it in terms of like success, because LA, they don't have fans at their games. New York has 2 teams in New Jersey. It doesn't actually make any sense to me whatsoever. Now, if you agree or disagree with any of those takes there, feel free to let me know on Twitter. My DMs are open at @WhatGoingDowney. Oh, this is the one you did. Okay. Oh, Jeremy's like, I'm building something. I'm like, I don't like it when you build things. It kind of concerns me there. Better Diggs. S for Stefan and T for Trevon. I'm very curious how these votes come in.
You know what the right answer is.
I know what the right answer is. Do the people know what the right answer is? Do you know what the right answer is?
I know what the right. I'm the one who built the question. I know what the right answer is.
I'll give some shout outs here. T's from Rebel Wraith and Chris Snow and Bruneel and Madman. S from Joe Linden for Voken. Sack 77. Anthony, the T's are winning because Trevon has played both positions, but not really. Like, he played it briefly at Alabama, and Diggs better than Diggs. Big Phil. That is correct. I'm honestly, look, it's funny to have both guys as all Pro Bowlers. Like, aren't their parents like, hell yeah, look what we did. We got 2 of them in the NFL.
See, and just like we were talking with Tyler earlier, they don't have to not love one of their sons.
Only the Ravens. The one Raven Cowboy fan knows what that one is from the chat the other day. Chris Snow says the answer is T, Jeremy. Bruneel says T played better last year. Kind of feel like we didn't look at what Stefon Diggs last year, because he was pretty much a baller as well. Diggs has been a more proven player over the years, which I think should probably get the advantage on that standpoint. But that's a good weigh-in, Jeremy. I might put that one up on as a community poll at some point and get the people going. Maybe on both the Chat Sports and the Cowboys polls. Just a thought there. S for Stefan, T for Trevon. After today's show wraps up on the live side, we will stay live, but only on Rumble. So make sure you follow us over there. The full link is rumble.com/CowboysTV to go follow us. We'll put the link to the live stream today right now with Bobby Hass in the chat already. Again, a big thank you to Bobby over there in the live comment section as well. So go over there and support us. Stick around on Rumble only for Dallas Cowboys Report After Hours exclusively on Rumble. I want you guys to grade the Cowboys offseason so far. The Cowboys say they're not done, but I don't know if I believe that. I'm going to break down all the moves, give out my own grade at the end of today's video, but I want to hear from you guys first. Grade the Cowboys offseason so far. A, B, C, D, or F. You're watching the Dallas Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, and we're doing our off-season tracker and grades, breaking down everything that happened for the Cowboys this offseason. And it wasn't that much. They were very quiet once again in free agency, and for the most part, appear to be adopting a run-it-back mentality of we'll keep most of our core together, keep our flexibility available beyond that, and then make some moves maybe more next year. And in general, the Cowboys have always leaned on their draft classes to kind of carry their off seasons. And this year's class was a little bit more controversial. But one thing that we kind of celebrated and then moved on from pretty quickly was the retention of Dan Quinn as the Cowboys defensive coordinator. He had at least interest, if not offers from certain franchises to be their head coach. But Dan Quinn is back, as is pretty much the entire Cowboys coaching staff. McCarthy, Moore, Fossil. Brian Schottenheimer gets to play the prep advanced role, so that's not too big a deal, but I wanted to mention it. Joe Philbin's back. Nussmeier, Skip Pete, Lunda Wells. Robert Prince is the only noteworthy change on the coaching staff. He's the new wide receivers coach. Joe Witt had defensive coordinator interest. He also sticks around with Aiden Dirty, Scott McClurley, Al Harris, George Edwards, and Rob Davis, Jeff Blasco, Leon Lett, and some other assistant coaches that I'm sure not too many people care about. But in the end, I would argue that keeping Dan Quinn was your best offseason move. And when your best offseason move is keeping your defensive coordinator, I'm not sure your offseason was that great. Although, imagine our concern about this Cowboys team if they hadn't found a way to keep Dan Quinn in the fold. Some roster move reaction and breakdown and recaps, all that stuff coming up next. But first, I have a question for you. Did the Cowboys get better this year? Or did they get worse? Why for yes, they got better, and for no, they actually got worse? Sound off for me in the comment section right now. Normally, we'd spend a lot of time on the free agency additions. Not this year. The Cowboys signed 3 players, spending barely $5 million on all 3. Dante Fowler, 1 year, $3 million. James Washington, under 1.2, mostly guaranteed. And Ryan Nall with no guarantees on the vet minimum. We'll start with Fowler, since no one cares that much about Ryan Nall, who I don't think was going to make the roster. Fowler, it depends on which one we get, right? 2017 Jags, Fowler, 8 sacks. 2019 Rams, Fowler, 11.5. In the rest of his career, in 4 years, 15.5 total. So I don't know which Dante Fowler the Cowboys will get at his cost with not that much guaranteed money. It's a good pickup. I like the James Washington one as well. Now, he fell out of favor as the Steelers had a quarterback who physically couldn't throw the football that well downfield as he continued to age in Big Ben. The 2019 production is probably not what you're going to get. Can you get somewhere between 19 and 20? Even if you get the 2020 production, you're paying him nothing. That's just fine for me. So of the 3 Cowboys free agency moves, all 3 of them, which one was the best signing? DF for Dante Fowler, RN for Ryan Nall, or JW for James Washington? If the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know which one you thought was the best outside free agent signing. The Cowboys' biggest moves in the end, like the positive ones, came in re-signing players. Dorrance Armstrong, a 2-year, $14.04 million deal. I will make note for Armstrong, that deal is backloaded, and they can get out of it after a year and not actually pay him that much money. I am once again going to continue the Dorrance Armstrong breakout in 2022 campaign, the second breakout. His numbers in 2021 were better than his career numbers before that. He had his best season ever. Now, he was not as good as Randy Gregory. Do not believe the Cowboys Kool-Aid lies. But he was a lot better than what he's ever been in his NFL career, and I'm hoping we get a second breakout this year. Speaking of breakouts, that was Jaron Kearse, 2 years, $10 million. Cowboys lowballed him. It got a little bit ugly. Unlike the Randy Gregory contract negotiation, the Cowboys saved that one, and they were able to retain Jaron Kearse on a very team-friendly deal. I love that pickup. And $3 million for a punter, it's fine in Brian Anger, and he was awesome, of course, last year. We'll get to the rookie class later on, but the Cowboys Tyler Smith jerseys are available at chatsports.com/Tyler Smith jersey. Check the comment section. What you think the URL would be, right? Check the comment section and the description. That link will be in there to get your first-round rookie jersey today. The other re-signings here, very cheap. All these guys are mostly cuttable. LVE, by the way, I know not everyone likes him, but a 1-year, $2 million deal for Van Der Esch is actually a really good move. Carlos Watkins, 1 year, $1.9 million. That's just fine. Luke Gifford with almost no guaranteed at a cheaper cost than his RFA tender, that certainly makes sense. So the Cowboys are in good shape with those particular moves. Overall, I like the individual re-signings. It's the totality of how that pre-draft process went isn't quite the same. Now, if you want the best Cowboys coverage on YouTube, you guys have come to the right spot. Free daily videos on the Cowboys Report. If you haven't already, click that big red button and join us for our live shows and our daily videos as well. The Cowboys did lose some notable players. Randy Gregory, a 5-year, $70 million deal, a disastrous process, by the way. Even if you didn't want to pay Randy, the Cowboys thought they had him. There was some confusion, manipulation, disagreement, whatever word you want to throw in there, over the contract language. He signs the exact same deal with Denver. You lose him. Ced Wilson and Connor Williams go to Miami. Not everyone thinks those are losses, by the way. La'el Collins gets cut. The Cowboys couldn't trade him. Wasn't a huge surprise compared to Amari Cooper, for example. He's gone. Greg Zuerlein, that one is not a loss. He goes to the Jets. That was like a, oh no, anyway, type of loss. 2 safeties leave for very cheap, by the way. Keanu Neal and DeMonte Casey gone, cheap 1-year deals. Those cheap contracts, this slide of 4 is basically, yeah, we didn't want them anymore. And Malik Turner, who I am a bit disappointed to lose him. I think he's a good football player. He goes to the Niners on basically the 1-year vet min deal. Perhaps the biggest loss was the Amari Cooper trade. After the Cowboys spent weeks, bordering on months, talking about how, oh, Amari doesn't do this the way we wanted to, they went, oh shit, we could try to trade him. And by the time they shopped him, they had tanked his value, etc. There was not that much interest. They had messed everything up. They did not handle the Amari Cooper trade process properly. You leaked that you're going to keep him, not, well, we're going to cut him if we don't trade for him. That hurts your value and your leverage points in the end. A 5th and a 6th-round pick swap from the Browns is all the Cowboys got for Amari Cooper. Now, for those free agency losses, here are the projected comp picks the Cowboys will get, by the way. These are projected. It is going to be influenced by playing time, production, etc. The Cowboys got a 4th, or could get a 4th for Randy Gregory, and 6 for Connor Williams and Cedric Wilson. Not great, but also maybe not what you were hoping for in the end. My free agency grade has not changed, by the way, since I did the initial free agency grades video. It is still a C for me. The individual moves of keeping Curse and keeping Van Der Esch and signing Dante Fowler and James Washington, those were good moves. But the bigger picture of we spent $5.3 million in free agency on outside players. Seriously? You think your team is good enough to only spend $5.3-ish million bucks? You have to do more. You don't have to go recklessly Commanders spending in free agency or even full-fledged Rams FM picks mindset. But not doing anything hasn't worked for you. It is bordering on the definition of insanity, and that does bother me from the Cowboys' perspective. Now, there are still some players unsigned that aren't going to move the needle. Blake Jarwin's hip is messed up. That one hurts. Not that much dead money, at least. Brent Urban, you kind of replaced him with John Ridgeway. Ty Nsekhe replaced by Matt. Well, let's go Corey Clement. Well, you got Rico Dowdle for that role, and they did not tender Francis Bernard, and no one's shown interest on that front. Let's go to the draft now. Quick recap and just some mentions here. Tyler Smith, who, for the most part, we were like, yeah, we don't want him in round 1. And the Cowboys took him in round 1, and some people didn't like that, understandably so. We talked a lot about Sam Williams, who wanted to go by D and is now wants to go by Sam again, so we're back to snap, snip, snap. I like that pick. I think he's got great upside. I love the Jalen Tolbert selection. Everything else I'm fine with, from either it was fine to it was an outright good pick. Jake Ferguson, Matt Waletzko, Deron Bland, Damone Clark could be a steal if he's healthy, coming off of basically the Leighton Van Der Esch injury that he had a few years ago. Love John Ridgeway. No complaints about Devin Harper either. I did not love this draft class because I do all my research and my studying in advance. I have my rankings. So I'm not going to adjust those just to be a homer. That's not fair to everyone else and every other team that I cover here at Chat Sports. But I do want to hear, before I get to my grade, who your favorite Cowboys draft pick was. Mine's Jalen Tolbert. I love that one. I had a very high grade relative to where he got drafted. If Damone Clark's healthy, probably more so next year, that one could be the winner as well. Let me hear from you guys. Favorite Cowboys draft pick? If you watched our draft grades video here at the Cowboys Report, which I hope you all did, then you know what grade I gave the Cowboys draft class. It was a C+. It was not a disaster. I thought day 2 was really good, and day 3 had some nice selections, but it was not quite the same level of that 2020 excitement I had when, swear to God, the Cowboys drafted off of my big board. They took almost my highest graded player like 3 or 4 different times. I've never seen it happen quite like that for any one team. Not bad, but, we didn't want, for the most part, Smith entering the draft. Maybe the Cowboys are right. Hope they are. He's got immense upside, after all. What I did love was the undrafted free agency crop. Marquise Bell, I had a 5th-round grade on him. Big Cat Bryant, elite name. They brought in Malik Davis pre-draft, so no surprise there. Several interesting receivers, including Dontari Drummond and Ty Freifogel out of Indiana as well. Jonathan Garibay, I think, is going to win your job at kicker, and I think he will be an upgrade over Greg Zuerlein almost instantly, in part because he's super cheap. Aaron Hansford, I like him a lot. He might make this team maybe even over Devin Harper. Peyton Hendershot is a good track record of UDFA tight ends on this team. Don't sleep on Story Jackson either. Alex Lindstrom has some fans as well in terms of maybe making the roster. I don't think he's going to beat Biotish quite yet, though. Aaron Shamklin from Harvard's a fun name, too. Isaac Taylor Stewart is the other name I want to mention at cornerback out of USC. That's a fun name to monitor. He's a good football player. I was a bit surprised he didn't get drafted. Same with Wanye Thomas. That is a special teams impact player. A deeper draft overall results in one of the deepest UDFA's classes in a long time, numbers-wise, for the Cowboys. I love this undrafted free agency class. Doesn't mean they're going to be the next Tony Romo or James Harrison or whatever, but I do think it was a good offseason from the Dallas Cowboys in terms of the undrafted free agency pickup. Overall in the offseason, I'm very mad about it. The lack of aggression from this team is a disappointment because they have a franchise QB. They won 12 games last year. The NFC is not that good. And the question of, did the Cowboys get better? I don't know if they did. I really don't. I kind of think that they're kind of the same-ish, and it almost feels like this team was like, you know what? Little mini reset this year, and we'll go all in 2023 for whoever our head coach ends up being. So if you didn't answer this question at the start of today's show, make sure you do it right now. Grade the Cowboys offseason, A, B, C, D, or F. Let's get some shout-outs here. The pin poll, by the way. Get some reset, some water here. 40% say C. 37% say B. We do not have any Tolbert jerseys yet, guys. Sorry. I checked today. We don't have any yet. You can do a custom one. Go to the same link and just make a custom one. 11% say A. 12% say D. 40% are going C. So they're with the same grade that I had there. Mostly a little bit higher beyond that. And then some Ds and Fs at 12%. 11%. So keep the votes coming. Grade the Cowboys off season so far. Mailbag's coming up. After the mailbag, we are going to be only live on Rumble for Cowboys Report After Hours. We will do some breakout candidates for you guys this season. So make sure that you follow us over there. Rumble.com/CowboysTV. The link to that live stream, by the way, is in the comments section, and it's in the description as well for the Cowboys Report After Hours exclusivity. Mailbag, though, first and foremost. If you haven't already, get your questions in using hashtag Cowboys. You can also super chat like Mighty Ant 0215, did on that standpoint there. So use hashtag Cowboys or send in a super chat to get your questions here on the show. So we're following the plan there, Jeremy, in the script. Use hashtag Cowboys or super chat. Otherwise, if you don't use hashtag Cowboys, by the way, folks, it's not going to pop up. It's going to be very difficult for producer Chugs to find your question overall. We have a Chat Sports Challenge going on right now. One person on a Dolphins video of all channels commented 84 times on a singular video. So if you want to get a shout out here at Chat Sports, I need your help to break that record. The Dolphins suck. Their quarterback underthrows Tyreek Hill every throw. We've got to beat that. I need one of you or multiple of you. Comment Cowboys or Dallas, or even just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc. 84 times on this video so we can show the Cowboys Nation is the #1 fan base here at Chat Sports. You guys are watching the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, and it's a mailbag, as I'm sure you could tell by the headline on this video, answering all of your questions live starting with a super chat from Mighty Ant 0215. Is Lindstrom smarter than Tyler Biadasz? He did identify the fronts and make the calls at Boston College, but it's not like Wisconsin's a bad school, so I have no idea. I don't know if smarts are the issue for either player, though. Lindstrom, if you were worried about power up front, that's his big red flag as well. From Nate Rosario, trade Travis Kelce, Kittle, or Gronk. Again, you're not going to get those guys. Why? I can't believe we had two different Travis Kelce trade questions here on today's live show. Chiefs trying to win games right now. They're going to keep Kelce. Kittle's not going anywhere. I think Gronk's going to either retire or go back to the Bucs in the end. Jamie Kincaid, should the Cowboys trade for DK Metcalf? I'd love to. You think Catboy's going to give up a first-round pick and then pay DK Metcalf $20 million to $25 million bucks? Hell no. And by the way, Seattle, they could have shopped DK at the draft. They did not. I don't think the Seahawks are actually going to trade away DK Metcalf. So, look, I'd love to get him. I'm not going to get my hopes up for that one, though. From Boondock Saint. Do you see the discount Cowboys trading one of their safeties and the first-round pick for Quandre Diggs? No. Quandre Diggs is not worth a first-round pick. Not at his age. He's got maybe 3 or 4 years left, but he's not worth a first-round pick. Like, that's just not sensible for the Cowboys. And Seattle just paid him, so then they're not going to trade him either. Sack 77. What are you going to do when Tyler balls out this year? Do you mean Biadasz or Smith? I assume you mean Smith. If it's Smith, be very, very excited and be hyped that you have your long-term, I would say, left tackle and a stopgap at left guard. And by the way, even if Smith doesn't ball out, it's not going to be a victory lap from me. It's going to be a message of patience. Smith needs time. He's young. His technique is not great. That could get fixed this year. If it does, awesome. If it doesn't, be patient. I don't think he is an instant elite player. It's an upside traits pick. You got to be patient with those guys. From Nick Trippy, trade for Harrison Smith. Got all these safety questions and no super chats. Man, I'll tell you what. Brett's going to be mad at you, Jeremy. What's new, exactly. Harrison Smith. I doubt the Vikings shop him. They seem to want to win games. They're not good to go for. They draft Lewis Cine. Twofold issue here with Harrison Smith. First up is the contract. Cheap this year, very expensive after that. $15.3 million in both 2023 and in 2024. Plus, they just extended his deal and restructured it. I don't think so. I thought he might have made more sense had the Vikings not paid him back when they did. So will Dallas trade for a big-name player? I'm going to go with no, but I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. This question is the pinned comments on today's video. So if the ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there, type in Y for S or N for no. Daniel Crutchfield, how many UDFAs will make the 53-man roster? Might do a whole video on that, by the way, Daniel. I think you might be hoping for like 3 to 5. That's a lot of UDFAs. I think your kicker makes it. One of those offensive linemen, one of those receivers, one or two of those linebackers, a safety. Those are the spots that make the most sense, barring injury on the current roster construction. From Cam Kramer, can Fowler flourish under Dan Quinn and finally reach his potential, or is he past those days? We had this graphic from earlier. Great job, Jeremy. Fowler has had 2 awesome years and then a whole lot of nothing. Great with the Jags in 2017, great with the Rams in 2019. He's only 27 right now. Turns 28 about a month before week 1 of the season. So there is still some upside and some potential. I think Dan wanted him in Dallas. There is talent and ability. I think for what you're paying him, having also paid Dorrance Armstrong and drafted Sam Williams in the 2nd round, you're not assuming Fowler is going to be the guy for you opposite Tank Lawrence. From Henry, how will the Cowboys deal with Zeke versus Pollard considering their contracts? I would assume they use both players like they have. They will force feed Zeke. They will use Pollard in spurts, and Pollard will give you more plays, and Zeke will be your thunder to Pollard's lightning. Hopefully, when teams like they did late last year say, we're going to go light box, run the football, and the Cowboys literally could not run the football at all last year down the stretch, the Cowboys will say, okay, now we can run the football with either of those two. From Brandon, hey, Tom, big fan, but what if we use Pollard as a receiver? Sure, he's small, but him in the slot could mean another offensive threat. I don't think you're going to use him as a full-time receiver, but I do think utilizing him in running back packages with Zeke out there, whether it's, 20 personnel, 21 personnel, and especially when you're going to be down Gallup most likely for week 1, I would almost rather put Zeke and Pollard out there than, say, a Noah Brown, even a James Washington potentially. So full-time receiver, no. Put him on the field, yes. A lot of Pollard questions today. How about that? From Mighty Ants 0215, a super chat. Thank you, my friend. Do you think we re-sign Pollard? I don't know. He will hit the open market. And if there's one thing we know, it's that the Cowboys, at minimum, once it's the market, will only match the offers. The running back position, I think when we sit down this time next year, it could look very, very different than what it does right now. Hopefully the first-round rookie Tyler Smith provides some better run blocking up the middle than what the Cowboys had for a good portion of last year. The chemistry was all out of sorts on the offensive line last year. You can get his jersey right now, chatsports.com/Tyler Smith jersey. Links in the comments and in the description. From Logan Northern, pair Fowler with our defense line, he will produce. I hope so. I hope that with Tank Lawrence and Micah Parsons and hopefully better growth from your interior defensive linemen that you do get better play on the front from that standpoint there. I think Armstrong's going to start. That's what the contract says. But there will be some real competition along that entire defensive line for the Cowboys, and I am quite excited to see how it all plays out. DeLunatic, faith in offensive line coach Joe Philbin. To be honest, no. That also worries me when it comes to fixing Smith's technique and whatnot. Because although Terrence Steele got better this year, the whole rotating left guards and benching players, the collapse of the offensive line can be tied directly to that moment. That moment when they kept shuffling and changing everything, and it just threw the offensive line off. And I think what is super undervalued when it comes to the offensive line is this: the fact that you need chemistry and consistency and stability. And the Cowboys, by their own decisions, lost that, and they took it away from the offensive line. So I had faith in Philbin. Now I don't. He's got to earn it back, for me at least. Ethan the Boss for life. What are the ways he can keep his job, in your opinion? Super Bowl, NFC Championship, win at least one playoff game, and that last one might be a maybe, to be honest. A lot of pressure on McCarthy. There will be a ton of noise on him from the fan base and from media all season long, so we'll see how that ends up going down. in the end. I'm curious to see what happens on that front. How long have you guys been a Dallas Cowboys fan? Drop the year for me in the comment section. By the way, a big shout out to Big Phil, who already did the 84 or more comments. I see he's got, 81, 82, 83 on that, or 85 now from Big Phil. So thank you. Let me know how many years you've been a Cowboys fan in the comments right now. Chris Snow, who's the better UDFA, Bell or Wilson for the safety position? I have Marquise Bell graded as the higher player at safety. Now, I'm not sure what you mean by Wilson. It's Thomas and Van Zant at the other UDFAs. If you mean Bell or Donovan Wilson, I think is what you're asking. I'm going to stick with Donovan Wilson because I've seen him play at a higher level. I think both guys could, though, make the team. Right on cue, here's Big Phil. Who do you have winning the NFC East? Easily Cowboys, but Eagles got a good team. Not convinced they won't do Eagles things, though. I have the Cowboys winning the NFC East. I think Philadelphia, though, unquestionably is the biggest threat in the division because they've got a great roster, and if their quarterback takes a step forward, they're going to be really dangerous. It's a question of, do you actually believe in Jalen Hurts, though? From Jared Sandstrom, should Dallas trade for a wide receiver like Laviska Shenault or Jalen Reagor? Sure, why not? They'll probably be pretty cheap. I also ain't going to be mad if the Cowboys don't acquire either player. Reagor has been a bust in Philadelphia, but could be a punt return option for you. Shenault has put up decent-ish numbers, but he also had the dropsies last year, and that's a bit of a red flag. And as bad as that wide receiver room should have been, or was for Jacksonville, I would have expected more out of Shenault. I would assume that both guys are not as good as Jalen Tolbert, and maybe in the same level as Washington, who you already acquired, which means special teams, they have to help there. Shenault doesn't really, and Reagor also isn't a great punt returner. So I'm fine with it, but I ain't going to be mad if they don't get either player. When it comes to trades, I want you guys to name a player who you want to trade for. Keep it somewhat realistic. No Aaron Donalds. Let me know in the comments. From Chris Snow, if Williams has a better year than D-Law, do we worry? Depends on how the year happens, right? Is it Tank Lawrence had 10 sacks and Sam Williams had 12? If so, no, we feel awesome. Is it Tank Lawrence busted his foot again, had 3 sacks in 5 games, and Sam Williams had 5 sacks total? Yeah, we're going to be worried. Just a better year by Sam Williams isn't necessarily cause for concern. Totally depends on how they get there from the production standpoint. From Ben Loving, who's the best fit in free agency left, including cap space? Well, cap space isn't an issue. At least it shouldn't be, but it is a self-imposed one from that standpoint there. I wouldn't mind a receiver. I wouldn't mind pursuing like a cheap special teams option. You know, I think Chester Rogers, you go who? Exactly my point. Is out there as a free agency option. I wouldn't hate a defensive lineman, but can you afford Ndamukong Suh as the bigger name? Maybe, maybe not. It's just a matter of how aggressive the Cowboys want to be in terms of the remaining free agency left. If you want Cowboys news and rumors all offseason long, you've come to the right spot. Hit that big red button and subscribe for free daily videos right here on the Dallas Cowboys Report. From Nate Rosario, can we trade for Jordan Dangerfield and draft Will Levis? You just trolled producer Jeremy successfully. Jordan Dangerfield is a free agent and is 31 years old, so sure, of course you can. You can sign him right now. Will Levis is a massive upside project, the quarterback that, of course, doesn't really make any sense. Logan Northern, Dak was mentally off at the end of last season, missing simple reads on film, making incompetent throws. His confidence looked absent. Worries me. What about you? I think you have a little bit of high expectations for Dak because even in his bad stage, and Dak wasn't playing at the same level he was at the beginning of his season, he wasn't a disaster like the Super Chat kind of reads as a little bit there. He did make mistakes. You needed better play out of your franchise QB, but it wasn't like he shit the bed and became Mark Sanchez. Like, he was still playing at a top 15 quarterback level, just not the top 5 level he was at the beginning of the year. So, honestly, the root cause, that offensive line was not good. And when you are asked to have success when the opposing team is getting home with 4, it typically doesn't go very well. There were plenty of mistakes by Prescott, but honestly, he's not very high on the worry list for me right now. From El Tino, any undrafted free agents who can return kicks? Well, you've got Tony Pollard and Rico Dowdle for the kick side of it. Punts, however, you have nothing proven since you're not going to put Lamb or Diggs back there at this point. So the issue is for the Cowboys is that the guys they've signed haven't really returned punts. Drummond returned like 8 or 9 at Ole Miss in his career. That's not very many. What I would do is I'd take all those receivers and say, all right, guys, give you a chance. Can you do it? And if they show that they can, awesome. If they don't, you have got to look at free agency and trade options because punt returner is one of the most obvious unfilled holes on this roster because they don't have that much. Alan Williams, I don't know if you discussed this or not, but what about signing Julio Jones? We've discussed this many a time on the Cowboys Report. I feel like somebody said something that I just haven't seen about making it a link, but whatever. Sure, I think Julio's washed. I really do. He has not been good for 2 years. The injuries have really added up. Cheap 1-year deal? Sure thing. Let's ride. Am I getting mad if they don't sign him? No, because he's not the prime Julio that we all remember in the end. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter for more Cowboys content, if you have questions, please do so. I'm on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. Already had our first signed Dez question. There you go. Absolutely not. All right. Rumble only coming up here. Cowboys Report after hours. We're going to end things here on the YouTube side. Oh, go ahead and do it. Sam, can I have a beer? I need a beer. A beer? A beer. Yeah. Beer? Gray says sign Earl Thomas. What year is it? The answer, just to be clear, is hell no. Absolutely not on signing Earl Thomas. Like, absolutely not. I don't know why. Why would you want Earl Thomas? Shitty person. I don't tell you. Don't want him on my team. Like, no. We're going to, just because of the Earl Thomas question, I'm kidding. We're going to do it anyway here. We're going to stay live only on Rumble. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, make sure this doesn't explode like it happened when Jack brought it to me on the draft. Whatever you say. Didn't explode. We're going to say bye to Facebook. Bye, Facebook. I'll pour one out for you. And we're going to end things on YouTube, by the way, and go to Cowboys Report after hours only on Rumble. Yeah. To go to Rumble after hours, if you see the live chat, the link is in there a ton. Click it. It'll take you right into the Rumble stream of the Cowboys Report. We're going to end this on YouTube in 5, 4, 3, 2.